All right, lads. Day 3. This is probably going to be a bit of a controversial topic. Everyone's got their own opinions on how to improve this, how to strengthen it, what's important for arm wrestling and what's not. But this is just my my personal opinion at the moment, and I feel like that could change over time. But I just wanted to talk about grip strength for arm wrestling. I want to be very specific about that. Grip strength for arm wrestling is there's probably a whole lot of variables that come alongside it, i.e. The size of your hand, length of your fingers, mechanical advantage with those things, orientation of your wrist, power of your grip, of your pushing grip, and whether that's functional for arm wrestling or not. So I just want to go over a few of the tools, I guess, that I'm using currently, just to improve my grip strength as an overall kind of thing. And I kind of really want to separate grip strength from cupping, as I think, though they have a lot of similarities, that they're two separate entities when it comes to arm wrestling. So with that in mind, we'll get started. So we'll start with the obvious, and I'm sure most people have used this over their course of their life at some point. A set of grippers. So this is Captain of Crush grippers. This one here is a number 2. And these are predominantly what everyone trains grip strength with across the board, and it's a really good measure of how strong your actual crushing power is with the end of your fingers. So just grabbing that grippers, finding a good grip, and then closing is really vital, and then repping out as many as you can helps. But a couple of things with them. One, they're pretty hard in your hands, and I've found over the course of using them, there's you lose a few fundamental techniques. So one thing I think is important when gripping, and I'll use one of these rings as a bit of an example, is that when we close things, it's very important for your arm wrestling, is that linear path of your ligaments on the back side of your wrist is straight. So you've got a minor portion of wrist flexion engaged for all your grip strength activities. So what happens fairly naturally when you squeeze a pair of grippers is that as you squeeze, your wrist just cocks back and you're really pushing to push those fingers down. And to do that in arm wrestling, fundamentally you've lost your hand, and then ultimately you're going to lose your wrist in a tournament. So I think grippers are great. I have found that you do get a bit of ligament fatigue after a bit of time, but ultimately for me at the moment, I'm using a variety of different things. So these rubber rings, available on Amazon or eBay. Not a huge amount of tension, but you can just drive around, walk around, and just bust out a few hundred reps a day. Can hit all the fingers as well equally, move them across your palm to target high fingers, lower fingers, thumb, and really increase that whole wrist strength, and then keeping that wrist flexion engaged while you're doing it as well, I think will be in the long run functional for arm wrestling training. So those rings, I'll try and find a link for them on eBay, and I'll chuck them in the description just to help everyone else out. As I said earlier, the Captains of Crush grippers, beautiful set of engineering. Just even to have these is is fantastic as a tool, as an exercise piece, and as a grip challenge over the long term. And then, you know, fat grips. So fat grips are sold across Amazon, Grip and Lift Australia, and you just Google them. This is the Fat Grips Extreme. They clip on to most bars, most weights, and what they do is they open your hand for all your lifting activities. They put the pressure to the outside of your hand as you lift, and they force you to provide wrist flexion as you do a bicep curl, as you do a pull-up. You just can't hold on with your wrist and without full flexion on your wrist. Now, again, bigger hands, you are going to gain mechanical advantage on these kinds of items. You've got a longer finger, it's going to wrap around further. Myself, I've got a smaller hand as far as arm wrestlers go. So for a smaller hand, it's just vital to have a lot more strength around your hand, in your palm, and in your wrist flexion. And this should form a large part of your initial training. It's just improving the ability not just to squeeze, but your ability to hold that grip in place as someone pulls or tries to open your fingers. That way your wrist isn't going to get compromised in a match, and then you can focus on your muscular and ligament strength with side pressure, back pressure, and the other focuses that you've got with your arm wrestling training. But grip strength, it's going to take a long time. You know, you want to spend 6 months, a year initially, just every day. And I think just maintenance of this is highly important. If you relate it to most guys in the trades, steel fixers, concreters, and the like, very strong hands from just that repetitive movement. Now, it's not heavy movement, but it's just repetition of a similar movement that strengthens up your fingers, much the same as a rock climber. Not unbelievable at crushing the hell out of things, but in a pinch, you can just hold that position without compromises. They're holding the whole body weight on it all times. So, you know, if you haven't got these pieces of equipment, plagiarizing just a little bit from Travis Bajan is it's quite simple. Just find a blanket, face cloth, just curl it up in your hands. Again, try and sit your arm in arm wrestling position for everything you're doing, and just squeeze. Cup that wrist and squeeze. Now, squeeze it 1,000 times a day. Might sound extreme, but if you're driving from A to B, the numbers are just going to add up. You do 50, you're not trying to break the bank with your crushes, just squeeze and just get that functional strength and used to holding the tension in an attack or a defensive position with arm wrestling. Last, something a little while ago, and obviously you can use a weight or a pulley and just pull that weight towards you, bring that grip in, or even on a bar, and just same thing, and pull that bar up and close it with a smaller bar ideally, so you can actually get the closing of that grip. Otherwise, ultimately it's going to move on to a whole nother set of exercises, which is wrist flexion or cupping, which I want to talk about another time. And then last of all, as a bit of maintenance, this is something that I pinched as an idea of Matt Mask, something that he does for remedial, and it's just a bucket full of rice, and all you're doing is putting your hand in there as a bit of remedial, blood flow through your fingers, and just squeezing that rice. Twist your hand in a supination or pronation manner, and you know, you'll get blood flow through your ligaments, get that healing happening, and then just allow you to train another day with equal intensity. So without obviously dragging on this for too long, which it's already up to 10 minutes, find something, doesn't matter what it is, and just start squeezing it. Thanks, boys. Let's get after it. Till the next time.